too. I love your pants. Love them. All right, so we are going to keep things moving. I have the pleasure of introducing the person that I came to Connecticut and started performing at Open Mic with, Mr. Ernell Grant.
Peace and blessings, everyone. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Yeah, that's more like it. We're here celebrating a lot of wordsmiths, people that, my goodness, share a part of their lives. And I'm honored to be among the folks that's being honored today, because to me, I'm an okay poet, you know, who surround myself with a lot of talented people who move me. So, yeah. And I brought a few with me just to demonstrate that it's not about me, it's about Poets Round, the team. It's a place where we get together, we share in our different experiences. We cry, we laugh, we uplift each other, you know, and we're just there to, it's a space where anyone can feel comfortable. So I did Poets Round, but I'm also proud of my other venture, which is the Poets Next Gen. It's the youth poetry that I do. And the main reason why I started that is because of my son, who's right there. He wanted to come to my poetry venues all the time. And I said, no, you can't really come. It's late at night and some language and such. So when he was 5 years old, I started the Poets Next Gen. And I must say, you know, he loves it. I don't have to prod him to go. He remembers. Daddy, today is youth poetry. And this is why I do this, to help shape the next generation. And it gives me joy to see him here, still seated, listening, asking me questions. And this is what I do. Peace and blessings to my wife, my daughter as well. It's not easy for her. I love poetry. She likes it. You know, and so when I'm here paying people for speaking their minds, and she's like, okay, so where's the money for the house? Type stuff, you know. But she's put up with that for 11 years, and I want to give her props and, you know, say thank you for being there, sharing my dreams, although it's not yours, you know what I mean? Much love to that. So I just want to pay homage real quick to the ancestors. I know it's a lot of us, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but before I get started all the time, I just love to pay homage to the ancestors, and I'm going to tap the djembe for a little bit. Came to this country in '81 from Jamaica. '82, I got my ass kicked. really bad, and it was a mistaken identity. So here we go. I'm gonna start off with that one and keep it moving. Yo. Yo, yo. Yo. I mean, y'all talk to. Yeah, you, yo. You, yo. You look like the dude who tried to jump me last week. Yo, Richmond. Me no know you. Me never see you before in my life, so I am not the one that you see. But looks of hatred and violent intention stabbed me as I stepped to the other side of the room. Yo, me have to put my boys on alert. Only one exit there, ya. Divided rotten. Yo, this can lead to my doom. Yo, ain't not that bad. 2 hour weekends. Wow. 4, 5, 6. Oh God. The vibe is rotten, which could lead to my doom. Hey yo, you. Hey yo, yo, yo. You and your niggas approached me last week. So now it's time for me and my dudes to put on our show. He shoved me in the forehead and reflexes responded with a 1-2-1. His punk ass was knocked out as his limp comatose body slid across the ground. But no time for celebration. I said, no time for celebration because Fist and Timberlands, they rained down on me like a deadly storm. I was 5'1", 112 pounds. 15 dudes beating me down. Was this the norm? Yo, me not go down unless them kill me, I thought. Ain't no sucker here. But with both eyes almost shut and blood coming from my mouth and nose, all I could do was whisper, whisper, God. Yo, God, this no fear at all. So the Timberlands struck with such violent force that I thought my maker I would meet and soon. And as blackness clawed at my consciousness, yells and commotion could be heard around the room. You see, my boy who attempted to help, he came away with a couple lumps and bruises here and there. He exchanged blows with a couple kids, but was then told to stay clear. And as he obliged, my ass was beat from here to the next year. And the last words I heard were, damn, that's not even the dude right there. That's not even the dude right there. Beat down, beat down. Thank you. Yeah, so mistaken identity will get you beat up, but at least back then, it was, you had beef, you throw your hands up, win or lose, you live to see another day. Today, it's not like that. Today, it's we'll shoot first and ask questions later. You know what I mean? So, I'm gonna do a piece I did about 15 years ago, and it's sad, but it's still relevant to the times we're facing today. Gun town, gun town, gun, 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 gun town. Hey yo, Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven is a gun town, gun town, gun, gun town. Yo, you see the youth them? The youth them are dead like flies and that no writing of the almighty eyes because projectiles. Yo, projectiles was true flesh. Injuring, maiming, and ending lives. Yo, the youth them are going like say them are starting a tombstone or gunfight at the OK Corral. But yo, another black man 6 feet under, instead of being home with his family singing Christmas carol. So Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport is a gun town, gun town, gun town. Yo, they be saying, yo, I gotta mow you the heck down because you disrespected me. And you Yo, you look too hard at me. You stepped on my sneakers. You own me. And you, yeah, you, yo, you look like the dude who tried to rob me so. Gun town, gun town. Yo, I gotta put a hole in your crown. Don't be trying to sell on my block, you clown. Because you're rolling with wusses. Yo, rolling with wusses, so I'll wet that body up if you even frown. And I'm coming through blasting. Yo, I'm coming through blasting first and asking questions later, so you better duck down, hit the ground, duck down. Yo, me don't care if you're Peter, Paul, Luke, or John. You said the wrong bumbo clock, thing will tie your mouth, and I did. Because for your crew, yo, for your crew is no threat. So, hey boy, oh y'all going like say you bad so. Me say, oh y'all going like say you bad so. You see me? Yo, me no give a mama ras clock if me shoot or stab you. Because this is gun town. Yo, we have to put the guns down, live peacefully. Peace and blessings. So I said earlier that this isn't about me, it's a movement. And I met a young lady this past Wednesday that just had me with chills on my arm. So I'm gonna bring up Nixia right now to the microphone to bless you with a piece. Nixia, come to the microphone.
She is a mermaid among sirens, tailed like a shark, faced like a queen, and voiced like an angel. But she does not serenade a man with her songs, does not coax him into a trance with her lullabies. She is a maiden of aqua, a beautiful marine. She is unlike those that fray when the freshwater oppress stops to ravage the flesh of men. Her songs do not end. When the ocean is dirty with the blood of patriarchs, she does not stop singing. When men strike tailed maidens of the water with rusted blades and shards of glass from broken whiskey bottles, she does not stop singing. She is a mermaid among sirens. She is in love with leg men, obsessed, killing herself on beaches as she begs to join them on land, tearing the scales from her bottom half in hopes to find a pair of legs underneath, swallowing air, praying for the ability to live off what men live on. And when she finds herself a man who entertains her fantasy, she holds on tight. She does not let go. She drags him under the sea, smiles when his screams translate into bubbles, kisses him when his lungs fill with salt water, but cries when his body, limp and cold as the ocean floor, slowly ascends to the ceiling of the sea. For no matter what she does or how hard she loves, man will always inevitably return to their own world. And in this moment, she is a mermaid, though no better than the sirens of which she is among.
Yeah. She's ready to go in. You know what I'm saying? She's ready to go in. So, I'm a lover of words, and words move me, and she moved me, and this is the future of Poets Pro. I'm smiling, I'm pleased. So, one more time. I'm gonna just share one more and get out your way. This one is really personal. I was gonna read from the book just now, but I'm in there, 72, such and such. But this is personal. My father wasn't the greatest father, He was an alcoholic, and when the alcohol took over, he became a different person. He preyed on my sisters. He raped them. He beat me to a pulp several times, unconscious almost. So this is something that we don't talk about a lot, the rape culture within our families, the abuse that goes on, and we have to speak up, we have to talk about it, we have to bring it to light, and we have to heal, you know what I mean? So in doing this piece over and over, it's healing for me. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like a fatherless child. Sometimes I feel like a fatherless child. Sometimes I feel like a fatherless child, a long way from home. Yo, brethren. Yo, you know what me to look up to you. You know say me they think say you were the world. But you should have look up on my face. Yeah, that look ya. Do you see the disappointment? Do you see the pity? My boss, do you see the scorn? Me say, how could you pray upon your own children? How could you even think of doing something that would hurt them? Me say, something that would scar them for life or death. Do I now show you threat? You see, me's a man now. Me a tower over you. Should I beat you into a pulp with my fists? Me say, should I put you in a headlock and twist? Me say, bumbo clot, twist like this. You see, me now gotta rock the virgin. Because me is nothing like you. Them crazy, despicable, disgusting things me coulda, woulda, never do. Still me try to understand. Me try to understand the when, the what, the why, and the how. How could you climb in that bed with your little girls where you supposedly love and adore so much? Why did you make them grow up in such a rush? Me say, how could you rip apart which can never be mended? You see, me did look up to you, but no, that shit's ended. So to be told, yo, you're just like your father. Me say, that always cut through me like a knife. Because seeking pleasure in a baby girl, much less my own flesh and blood. Me say, that can't even be imagined in this or any life. Time. Does that shit really heal the mind? So this is dedicated to the man. Me say, the man. Who? Because Sometimes I feel. Peace and blessings.
That's where every Wednesday, you can find me at Poets Round. Give it up for Ernell Grant one more time. Right now, I'm going to introduce the band Zicotane to you for your enjoyment, just for a couple of moments. And just so you know, right now, we're also going to allow just a couple of minutes to get up, roam around, shake some hands, meet some friends. It's a bit of a, intermission. And we'll be right back to our great list of artists in a couple of moments. So everybody show some love for Zicotane. Edie will be back.
There. Yeah, gotta get in line here.
No, I'm still teaching. My plan is probably to do like I just switched schools. So my plan is maybe 3-5 years leadership
So like you always realize I go see our race and then makes no way I know spirit means tragedy and knowledge for creating J.S. Science life scenario spent wasted Kilday and the honest and sad co-once including Kilday Zeppelin after the extraordinary ideas as well as something advice from nights on everything done. Only for smaller and escaped the signs of destiny, of course, for your mind and science and used to various dreams and for things and slips its fingers and military and carry down grass and pure voice and single can just for the rules and
Was that new stuff today?
Was that?
You got new stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. All right.
I got one request.
Yeah, I got a request from Mike. Yeah.
Tell somebody that we did it for him.
Yeah. It was here earlier.
Well, you know, I had another thought.
That's an idea.
Great.
Property. You know, in my mind, I go, if you can emulate some characteristics of Shakespeare, but what's today wrong is so it's a gap. I like that I'm talking about it. I'm talking about visual and accessibility. And Chris is this is plagued me all mine.
It's for all the people who are suffering through the flooding in our country right now.
I can't wait to hear you. I can't wait.
When the levees broke I took notes on their tired arms, waving flags, noticeably missing their stars and stripes. In the open mouths, in disbelief, gasping for breath, shouting out prayers and requests to persons and places. That just couldn't be reached. In the windows boarded up, blacking out the little light in the pathetic view of the once proud street signs like Humanity Ave, now shaking in their boots. In the beauty of two boys riding bicycles down the aisles of a superstore, while everyone around them went wild, pushing themselves, grabbing for merchandise.
Yep. Because I'm gonna make a video for them if I have multiple angles. And then instead of just the one the whole time, I get to jump back and forth
And outside,
Thank you.
and outside the bodies face down in water, not going anywhere. And the abandoned cars with their windshield wipers still going. That was for all the forgotten.
Colin. Thanks, Debbie. Thank you to all the great poets.
Thank you.
All right, so Catalyst is walking up here. She's got the list. But thank you all. Again, just to remind you, like you did during the music, but feel free. We want you to enjoy the Jim's nice wife is passing on the Hartford. And here back is the lovely Catalyst who, starting in March, is going to be our regular monthly host. Another thing, another exchange with Poets Realm and the festival. So, our future host monthly.
Yeah.
Alright, I hope everyone has refreshments. I do not want to fiddle with this and break it. You guys can hear me, right? Everybody good?
Yes.
Alright, so again, thank you guys for spending this afternoon with us. I've had a great time so far, and we still have a couple more names to go. Yay for poetry. Alright, show some love as we bring our next poet to the stage. Our National Beat Poet Laureate for Massachusetts. Put your hands together for Paul Richmond.
Yeah, I'll try to do it. This is a disaster. Did it happen? Could do a good comedy show with that. I love cats. I'm going to read a poem about my dog that I wrote when I was 4. It's a little hard to read, since I didn't learn how to write until I was 7. It's not about my dog, it's about me wanting a dog. The neighbors had a dog, and they hated dogs. This is when I learned that the world wasn't fair, which is old news. So I wrote this poem about being willing to sell my soul for a dog. When I had a spiritual awakening, it all became clear. I eat what lets me eat them. I accept the world being unfair. I didn't like it. I accepted it. And that's a lie. I just wanted this poem to sound Buddhist. I wanted the dog. I didn't want to be a Buddhist. I wanted the dog. And I love cats. Some of you might have grown up with this. Cover, duck, cover, take cover, duck, and cover. When I was a little kid, we were told to dive under our desks or kneel down facing the wall in the hallway, hands around our heads and behind our necks, no giggling. We're taking cover, duck, and cover. This was supposed to protect us from the nuclear incineration. By diving under our desks or kneeling in the hallway with our hands behind our heads, we practiced this. My grandfather encouraged me to ask questions, and so I did. And in one of these practice drills, I stood up and I asked, "Why are we doing this? This is stupid." Back then, in those days, a slap to the head stopped any questioning. I learned when and who to ask questions. Now every childhood expression has a diagnosis, is administered drugs to modify, obtain the correct behavior. No further questions. It is just my fear, or is it pretty clear, forces beyond our control, another war seems to be coming. There is nowhere to hide. We are still waiting and watching who will throw the first punch and who will force a punch to make it look like the good guys are defending themselves. There is no place to take cover. Don't hide under your desks. Get off your knees. Now is not the time to stand up. It is stupid. We're not going to take this anymore. There is nowhere to hide. There is no place to duck and cover. This was a request. Wild parties at the senior home. Word was passed from room to room by Mabel, who for hours roams the halls, some say looking for a way out. Beth made up the name tags, drawing on each of them to give each of them a little flair. Billy had saved up all his crackers that came with the soup, hoping someone was taking care of the cheese. It has been decided by those who could still think of these things that Jean would give the signal right after morning singing. We would all refuse to go back to our rooms. No nap today. Today we were going to party down. It was written in the staff logbook that Jean yelled party and all hell broke loose. Janet handed out the name tags randomly. So Leona was Stanley. Dave was Roxy. Singing broke out. It was hard to tell what the song was because everybody was singing their own song. They went up to each other and called out the names and the name tags and laughed so hard that they shit and pissed in their pants, which was not unusual. Some staff members joined in laughing hysterically, and through the uproar was suddenly brought to silence by Linda, who suddenly yelled out, "But I am Doug. I always wanted to be Doug. Let me be Doug." Linda started chanting, "I am Doug, I am Doug," which started everybody screaming out their own chants. I'm a dancer. I wanted to have children. I wanted to travel. I'm an artist. It took hours, actually most of the next week, for the staff to calm everybody down. In large letters in the logbook, it said, "No more parties." This wasn't the purpose of the facility. They weren't set up to handle people coming to grips with their lives, what they had done and not done, had they been true to themselves. The staff was told, stick to bingo, toss the big ball, stop any activities where residents think about their lives, realize they are running out of time. This creates mayhem. You can't buy that. How much do you want for that? The earth isn't for sale. I'll give you $1. At $25, I was told there was a bargain. At $100, I was told I was lucky because other people paid $200. At $500, I was told it was a steal. At an auction, I bid $2,000.49, and I celebrated my buying as a victory. At $500,000, I was told I should appreciate the quality. At $1 million, I was told I had good taste. At $100 million, I was told I had privilege. At $1 billion, I was told I had power. At $1 trillion, I watched it burn. At $1 trillion, I watched it burn. And when the smoke cleared, it wasn't worth anything to anyone. I knew it from the beginning. There is no dollar amount. Why did I play along? I will end with this one's still here. Nope. Okay, I like this. A love poem. I'm told to act from a place of love. So this is a love poem for Congress, the President, the Vice President. Each day brings new laws which makes all of us criminals. The endless executive orders that make everything life-giving die. The poisoning of everything. The crimes of hate are the order of the day. I just want to tell you how much in love I am with the day when you will all be gone.
sign this.
Gotta love poetry. You don't gotta love politics. All right, moving things along. Again, the room feels awesome. We're gonna show some love for our poet coming from Maryland. Show some love for Carlo Parcelli.
I'm from right outside DC. Don't believe you realize that we actually talk East End Cockney in Niceville there. It's just an affectation I have for some of my work. And I'd like to begin with a monologue. These monologues are called the Canaanite Gospel, the Gospel according to Simon Cananaeus. And they're intended as a poke in the eye at Christianity. A good, hard, blind, permanent poke. You gotta remember that. The other thing you have to remember is they're done in East End Cockney. For some reason. The first one's Jesus Barabbas. We all know the story of Barabbas, thumbs up, thumbs down. There's a real problem with that story. Jesus Barabbas, if you read Josephus and the other historians of the time, he had a real retinue, a serious grief of revolutionaries. Now, he was a bandit and a thief because most messiahs were at that time. But why would Pilate release this real threat to his throne and let this twit Jesus go? It does, I mean, or be killed. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. And this is Jesus Barabbas talking about his escape from the Romans. In my gospel, the Romans are not that stupid. They tried to kill him, but he escaped. This is Jesus Barabbas. Jesus Nazarene, or Jesus Barabbas, a choice true. Difference between an ass and an avenging angel. The Nazarene are poofter, or pissant, and the crowd would all be back trimming trap beards and slicing kit fat as soon as Pilato pumped custom. Thumbs up! Thumbs up for Jesus Barabbas, true son of the Father. My peeps and so on, bar armor of bloody Israel, not no fucking Nazarene dilute, but pure schmearing from Sept. Me blood spills accelerate, pardoned by the procurator with pointed seals of Roman daggers, a common kit treachery. No dead sparrows or deus faces, no faints and pretty thoughts against Roman gladdy. While the boy broke to a few thistles and nails, the boy who thinks dying's the hard part. Not a man among them, but the woman what found her nature among that chaff, and me struck 8 times and left for dead by the procurator's box. So you tell me you's a resurrect. No truck with Gamala's warrior cult neither, with their blood aspirations, what steals from those that were hard indented to steal, and not just by private tutelage and pedigree, not slow to rob, being all robbed hereabouts. And not from no fortified home. My retinue collects beyond Solomon Lake, with the gondolas looking over their shoulder at a rising star like myself, like Saul what said, what more can he have but the kingdom? I'd sooner bow to a Gamala than to a Caesar. I'll bear me neck, but to go now and geld the beggar, bleed him out at the thigh, that's a fate worthy of a Messiah, not this Nancy Dance Nazarene old shit. What puts no torch to temple or blind shoulder to stone, but in obscure fables destiny's postponed. Belief be the traitor to truth. Theories of heaven where there's but sky. As Pilato confirms, no more secure his throat from a dagger, lest the barber taken straight from me strike the blow. So may the Antipas go the way of the Janaeus and the Hellings and Herodians upon a sea of blood, as they could this day sail on me wounds to hell. Heathen tutelaries lying in the temples as they stadiums and forums, base confounded with good. Caesarea Maritima, Caesarea Philippi, Caesarea Tergo. Herod leasing Cypriot copper from Rome, and the maritime monopoly in asphalt with Antony's copper bitch. All prosperous me people, just as we are, what cast and soul is timely to me. Whom to slay is 10,000s, and how to proceed. No bloody time is fiction and goodwill when none's to ground, nor whose side of you, like a painted gallery or horse pizzler. But one father and nation saved, but one to die for, and many deaths to come. You can believe what you want about Jesus Barabbas, but if it's not hero, it's others' faults. What saw some greatness in him, and bore him aloft, bloodied and betrayed. That's what you're up against. These are the people you're up against. Okay, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I read in Connecticut here a couple of years ago, and I was having angina. And I just got done doing a couple of performances in New York, and I had angina there. And we went back to Baltimore, and I did a performance there before we went back to Washington, and I had angina there. And so I went to the doctor, and I figured, well, they're going to put a stent in, you know. So I had quadruple bypass. So, yeah. So I began thinking about immortality, or relatively speaking, and I began studying ancient Greek and Roman poets whose work is not extant anymore. It's lost. It's gone. And some of these people in the commentaries of historians and poets of their age were highly regarded. Aeneas, for example, was really the standard bearer of poetry of the history of Rome until Virgil came along. Very important. So I'm going to do two short, they're elegies. I'm working on a series of elegies of poets, ancient Greek and Roman, of their lost, whose works have been essentially lost. Scraps may remain fragments, and the tone is elegiac, so it will abate the previous. Barabbas always wears me out. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. And you don't need to. You don't need any background on these people because they have no background. Creopolis. That fumbler Kronos misplaced your epic, a gift from Homer himself for lodging the blind peripatetic that some say was your son-in-law. A work to claim as your own, purchased by your discerning patronage. So Homer, to match your daughter's dowry, recounts in the sack of Achaia, Heracles' siege, and also to claim the daughter of the king in marriage. Poets have for eons been the pitchman for that mad son of Zeus, whose rumor shines through parting clouds, from a common theft to murder in the street, or demigod's fiery speech, or a chronicler of heroes with pilfered apples and rustled cattle, and the brutish domestication ex anima of beasts. Or slaying Hippolyta and nicking your corset, or recounting a half-divine stable boy's janitorial feats, with the crowd scattering to seed legends in the pubs. And what of Achaia? We can but surmise, and so we concoct, through our cataracts of Callimachus, and Strabo, Plato and Sophocles, or Plutarch's Lives, where Lycurgus in his travels had the first sight of Homer's works in the hands, we may suppose, of your posterity, Creopolis. Scattered proportions as chance conveyed them, as objects of worship, entertainments, payment for debt, time rendered fungible as their fate, and all of your other works gone too, including the Achaia, this grant of Homeric immortality that neither earthly kindness nor celestial curiosity could secure for you. And the second one is Hermippus. Is there enough forensics to know thee, Hermippus? With your two-bit haircut wetting your dirk, coaxing a salute to some unattainable beauty, or some carnivorous staff discarded among the household chaff. Your every image speaks of the old man I am now, to a character in a lost play, dead centuries gone, yet not lost to the everyday. What aliases have time and the dawn's given you, as your bones lie picked in some boyhood Elysium, left a wind-blown pan flute? As from your last play, the gods croon, while the Furies cup limpid shells for castanets, rattles that dance in the tattered remnants of happenstance, out of place in this tomb insulated with commodious tones, and red with the certainty the stars once knew. I call out to death, and he sparks me and you, oblivion in the whip and the spur, not to go down the dark entire, but for a while, a humble bit, to transpire through some actor words a more ineluctable accord, struck with impossible permanence, where scribbles lost to their immortal stewards burn for a time in this carbon sway. So. I'd like to finish up with a special request from Michael Kilday. You're responsible for this. It's another monologue. It's Tiberius. It's from the Canaanite Gospel. A friend of mine was fumbling through my papers I used to perform, and he said, well, how do you do Tiberius? And I said, as sleazy as possible. He says, well, that's not a stretch for you. And I do. I really actually do it quite well. And it's a complicated thing to perform. And I actually really kind of get into it. Tiberius was an able statesman to begin with. He ended up being an incredible pedophile. That's not saying much for the Roman inhabitants, generally speaking. But too much defruit in his wine, too much lead in his wine, and was quite paranoid. This is Tiberius on the island of Capri, instructing his nephew Caligula on how to run an empire, how to rule the empire. And he actually, I don't know if you've seen the movie by Dino De Laurentiis, who really produced some bad movies, did Caligula. Has anybody actually seen that movie? I love that movie. Yeah. So Peter O'Toole plays Tiberius, Michael McDowell plays Caligula, and Helen Mirren plays Caligula's sister. Lucia, I can't remember. Anyway, this is that scene. And I wrote it, well, I shouldn't say that. I didn't write it with that scene in mind, but anyway. This is that scene. This is Tiberius. Walk with me, Gaius, have much wine without me minnow's affections. Keep this ancient limp in his flagella. Who would stanch no prick's pleasures after fierce combat of Pannonia, Dalmatia, Raetia, Germania, and bloody fucking fortune of that. The frontiers be rough with swine, when some must be hobbled and dragged to the chute, and their life run out with ruby gobs. And not my appetite's bar way gentle now. The babe pressed upon me cock, cooing its warmth, me tiny diddlers nibbling me thighs as I course through a chaste blue cove. The tear a young cunny or bum at the outsized prick, or the scratches and howls of some shite senator's wife, what be that to me after the screams of man and animal in battle, born of the animal and man? Not hunting thin, but tennis stink. Be supposed to lie in ambush about, but I'll bear the blind here at Capri. The down-found guineas went more too close. Sejanus ingrate be a plot, no doubt now me macro, hand-picked to me own executioners. Be bout the imperial divine, and not be false soothsay Thrasyllus, what put the liar most, and put cloudy mind in me desires, and think a blade be best to dress me card, and banish me to the Sibylline gallery. And mind me, boy, mind me, and say with the torment that pretty ants lie on the morrow. Now be I buzz about the ears, to be set what might be stuck betwixt. What might I, and might I smile to belch and fart in lieu of forfeit, me final brief and patch all the republics into rectums to air short of me delights? Or be I your hearts and flowers torn by the minnows like the sainted Orpheus and pushed out toward the bound to Heracles? Dick hard, and me grin to cant of both life and death. Ha! Ah, you son. Ah, you son, be proud and Jake, that I be cursed pure, what murdered your blood all, keeping claims of vital indignity upon empire, as free to shine upon a slave, as slave be gladly shine upon to be free. This advice be sage, boy, and thus round be to me, and the ending kitharagi is what turning. But we skirmish with Dacian Parthia, a minor revolt in Gaul and another under Topharenus, but little disturb me late calm, so there I employ the Gemonian stairs and the delatores. As for Papa, red be the color of peace. And true, I eject the Jews from Rome for winter extorting, but to gather their holdings at their exile. And as for suppurating Judea, where that doll and Sejanus Pilato survives, court Hellenes and butcher and Massies, while we ministers say meanwhile to their dear Tiberius, as we pleasure ourselves, our dalliances upon this goat. And ain't I but a bit stripe more than you be by way of Judea, retrieving the standards from Parthia for our dear Augustus. Power arrests indulgence, so best indulge in the torments power affords. And such prissy disposed can suck teardrops of a cock, as close to ichor be they get. One must commit to the Maius Imperium, with Crispidae and Pazone and other buzzards retained, to adequate the days to pile point inward. And yet, for all the blood be of the Jews shed, Sejanus' boys, Vitellius and Pilato, be a solid virtue comes to treasure. Their quotas find macro in me, and thus I stock me pollo puto without fear of deficit or embargo. I'll bear the cock or wring the neck, or what would I be to care, that habiting me you learn such craft? So mind me, boy, mind me pruning and grafting, mind me in this empire's Eden, that by quixotic hand, not the viper yet come, what prove himself superior to the desires of these gods. You're dealing with psychopaths. I just tried to illuminate two of them for you in the. Okay, that's what that's about.
Watch out for psychopaths. Hands together one more time for our poet. Carlos. Got the next name. Alright, so again, hope you guys are having a great time. Those books are available for $15 before you leave here. And also the band that performed, their CD is available as well. So there's a lot of treats as we leave this place today. So we're going to go ahead and keep things rolling. Bring our next poet to the stage. Everybody put your hands together from Long Island. We have James Wagner.
Right here, right there.
He's down.
I was in a separate location.
location. That's why it's a long walk. A very long walk.
Right there.
I made it. Hi.
Hi.
So, yeah, I really like how this book came out, don't you? I do publishing poetry for a living, but I haven't seen very many books that look quite this good. And with so many people from so many different places too, so I'm really proud of it.
Yes.
Yeah, Debbie did the cover though, so she deserves a applause for that. And everybody, they deserve an applause for gathering these people together so we can have the book. So. So, okay, I'm going to read a couple of poems actually I wrote while on my honeymoon, which just happened. Monday I've been married a month. So, somehow we had to shoehorn poetry into the honeymoon too. So that actually went down to DC to give a Japanese poetry workshop and panel over there, which I have a funny story about I'll get to later. My lovely wife is with me back there, so hi. I love it. So this one's called Global Monolith. Communication is easier than ever before. Social media lets me talk to my friends in England 3,000 miles away from me with no lag time whatsoever. Can't even imagine a time and a place when the Pilgrims spent 6 months on a boat to get to the New World, when letters between Boston and Philadelphia took only 8 days to get there. As technology presses us closer together and the world becomes smaller and smaller, we can watch as they try to fit these very different pieces into a puzzle that's picture seems to make less and less sense as cultures smack together like two waves on the shores, one ultimately giving way for another to take the lead. The ideology of New York City affecting decisions in India, Thailand, Norway, Greece, Italy. We can see the world evolving into one mind, one monolithic way of thinking, moving together in one direction, looking the same. McDonald's everywhere. Combining at the speed of light underneath unlearning the very simple biological truth that an ecosystem requires diversity to survive. My first cell phone. I got my first cell phone when I was 13. Well, it wasn't really mine. My mom bought it for me to use. It was a crappy little phone, not a flip phone. Pre-flip. Prepaid with a 20-minute phone card. I got it when I was going on the 8th grade trip to Boston, which we still had back then before 9/11 got it canceled for a few years. It was in my backpack, never on. Heck, I didn't even know its number, and I didn't need to, because it wasn't meant to receive calls, but make them in case of an emergency. After the trip, I kept it just in case. It sat inside my backpack, except when I took it out to show my friends who were all jealous of me. Couldn't believe I had a cell phone. I got my first real cell phone when I was 16. One with an actual plan. 100 minutes a month. And if I went over those 100 minutes, I had to pay for it myself. So I made many calls free after 9 p.m. to make sure that I never had to pay that overage. Last week, when I stepped out for a late lunch at 3 o'clock at Mario's Pizzeria, the same one I've been going to since first grade when I was in Catholic school, 5 kids from my old school, 6th graders by the looks of their uniforms, were all sitting around a table near me. And while I was eating and flipping through one of my biographies of Benjamin Franklin, all of them were checking their recent test grades on their smartphones. It's like, yeah, having a cell phone ain't a big deal anymore. Who has the latest iPad? That's a big deal, I guess. Waiting for my sister. I'm waiting for my sister, I say sometimes to people who don't know me. See me waiting on the sidewalk outside of a busy place where people would come and go. Me standing by an entrance could be just another person waiting for someone, even a sister. It's always strangers I say this to, not someone who thinks of me as an only child who would really know I'm not waiting for somebody at these places. See, I haven't had a sister in close to 30 years. Since the time I sat on my mother's lap and asked her how long it would be until the baby came. Too young to understand what premature birth meant, being told only that she wasn't coming anymore.
But even now, nearly 30 years later, in some ways I still am and always will be waiting for my sister. There's that girl.
Yeah.
And you know, I gotta say, like, you know, when I've been here, the whole time I could think of is like, you know, I'm kind of wondering if either like I'm William DeVault from the past or he's me from the future, because like when we look at us side by side, it's like we're both wearing the same thing and we got the ponytail going on. So it's like we need to get a picture side by side just for comparison. Like,
You gotta go beard first.
I don't know. Well, maybe in 20 years I'll go beard. Like, I mean, a little bit. Like I didn't shave this morning, so. But I mean, I'm just like, well, there goes my individuality. It's all good. I'll just go 20. So this one's called Confessions of Violence. There must be something wrong with me. I was one of those kids who had a toy gun at age 5, several actually. Used to watch all those late 80s, early 90s cartoons with the lasers, and explosions, the Transformers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with the big shiny weapons, and I had all the replicas. There must be something wrong with me. I had the Super Soaker 1500, 1600, 1700, 2200, and that one with the backpack water tank that would shoot everyone. I had all the rapid fire Nerf guns I'd used to beam all my friends repeatedly in the forehead. Plastic imitations of the M16 from Vietnam that make the from all the plastic marbles inside. I got a BB gun when I was 10. Didn't shoot my eye out, but shot hundreds of Coke cans and other targets. There must be something wrong with me. My psychosis for violence went beyond that. Admittedly, I was one of those kids who got into lots of fights in schools, but they started it. I took martial arts when I was 8, fired real guns when I was 12, and I had like 5,000 little Lego dudes all with weapons that I'd bring to school and have Lego wars during math class with my friend Ryan. And Mr. Leary was totally oblivious most of the time. Beyond that, I constantly defaced my textbooks and workbooks with massive stick figure wars that usually turn into mass stick figure genocide, depending on what collection shooting at each other from opposite ends of the page, sometimes sneaking over to the other end's fortress and planting big old crates of TNT that were labeled TNT underneath them, and boom, explosions of ink all over the page. One of my teachers photocopied some of those pages thinking I'd go on a killing spree one day, and those stick figures would be proof of my psychotic tendencies and the fact that there was something wrong with me. And yes, in high school I got all the Grand Theft Auto games, Vice City, San Andreas, rolling over people on the sidewalks, driving by with my virtual Uzi and shooting everyone, killing the prostitutes I just begged to get my money back, and firing those missile launchers at the police helicopters that came to get me. I did all of these things. But there must be something wrong with me. There really must be something wrong deep down, because I keep hearing about how these violent shows, violent toys, violent video games are the training ground, the breeding ground for violent individuals to go out there and commit real violence. But despite doing all of these things, all these violent confessions before you, all these years of training, I must be untrainable, defective in some way, because despite what these professionals say, and after all I did when I was younger, I have yet to ever actually kill anybody. Now for one from the lovely world of retail. I worked at, disclaimer, I worked there because not every place had this place. I worked at a place in Long Island for 6 years when I was in college and grad school called Dairy Barn, which was a drive-through supermarket / convenience store. You can imagine the type of people who would come there, people who didn't want to get out of their car. So this one's called the flavors list. So while everybody else was like moaning like, oh, these customers, I'm just writing it down because, you know, I was a poet, so what am I going to do? Flavors list. Hello, sir, how can I help you today? Yeah, can you tell me your ice cream flavors? Sure, I replied, grabbing the list from the side of the counter. We have vanilla, chocolate, mint chip, chocolate chip, vanilla Swiss almond, vanilla chocolate chip, cookies and cream, peanut butter cup, and Neapolitan. He leans forward, tilting his head sideways and putting his finger behind his ear. Could you repeat that? I take a step closer just to be sure and read off the list again. We have vanilla, chocolate, mint chip, chocolate chip, vanilla Swiss almond, vanilla, chocolate chip, cookies and cream, peanut butter cup, and Neapolitan. He nods and looks at me. Do you have Rocky Road? Was it on the list I just read twice, I think to myself. No, sir, no Rocky Road. All right, never mind then, he says with one wave as he departs. If that's all you wanted, why didn't you just ask if we had that? I think with a sigh, as I wonder what I could have done with that minute of my life that I'll never, ever see again. One funny story I like to tell sometimes, because by the time this book went to print, I had like one other like incredibly hilarious situation that I like wish I had time to write a poem about and get it in, but it was already going to print, so what can you do? So, but you know, like the way Dairy Barn was shaped, there was like looked like a barn, and there were these two like awnings that came down so people could drive through them. So this one like soccer mom lady drives through there and forgets she has a bike on the roof, and so she's driving through, and I see this, and I'm like kind of like in disbelief that it's actually coming, because I thought she like would have stopped or something, but just I hear boom, then the bike just falls off, and she's in there, and I'm just like, oh my god, and she like comes out of the thing like, oh my god, I forgot I had the bike on the roof, where's the bike go? And like the kids in the back seat like, oh and then like she turns around and she puts it in the reverse to back up. I'm like, no. Right over the thing, she gets out, she's like looking, we're like, oh my god, where'd he go? It disappeared. You need to like get up. Oh my god, it's my husband's bike. And so she pulls out in front and she's like, I was gonna get bread and milk, but now I can't afford it. And so, and then she drives off, and I'm just like, yeah. That's why I don't put my bike on the roof. But, you know, I just like to tell that story. I figure it's funnier when you're having a thing. So I'm actually going to read one poem. Actually, it's not mine. This is actually from the book The Apprentice Poet, because Ernell was talking about the youth poetry that he does. And on Long Island, we actually had a program where we were publishing poets from after-school poetry clubs. I was supposed to go to this workshop like twice just to, you know, orient them and then like, you know, hear their poems and put it in the book. But I went every single week after school for like 3 months because these kids were amazing. And it was the best part of my week. So this is by 9-year-old Paolo Greco. Everyone has a place in the world. The trees ask me, and the skies and the sea ask me, who am I? The grass asks me, and the sand and the rocks ask me, who am I? The wind tells me at nightfall, and the rain tells me, someone small, someone small, someone small, but a piece of it all. I know, you know, these third and fifth graders, they're smarter than me, you know, so I'm like, I go there mostly for inspiration. And one more little, I promise you the story about what happened to the Japanese stuff in DC, because there's a big Japanese culture convention called Otakon, and it actually was in Baltimore, and I was there last year, changed to DC this year. So things were a little confusing, and we were doing a panel on Japanese poetry history, and then a workshop on how to write specific forms. How I got involved in that was actually my publishing partner lives in DC, and he went to this every year, and they knew that he was a poetry publisher. They're like, will you do a panel on Japanese workshop? He's like, well, okay. I mean, you know, so he's like, all right, we'll do it. We'll research and we'll do it. And then he says, oh, James, by the way, I signed us up to read this. I'm like, oh, so you mean I got to go down there? Oh, thank you. Well, we probably should plan something. And so while we were doing it, we were looking for a bunch of resources, and it's like we couldn't actually find a comprehensive resource on Japanese poetry forms in English anyway. There were like a lot of books that had like little ones about different cultures, but nothing about it. So we actually took everything we found, we put it actually together in a book, and it became an Amazon bestseller. So, yeah, it was great. But so this workshop they gave us, they somehow labeled it 18 plus at this Japanese culture convention because they like have like a lot of hentai and stuff that goes on late at night. And they were like, well, now everybody's going to be expecting to do something different. Who goes to a poetry workshop at 11:30 at night? But people showed up, and so like they're probably expecting something a little bit more bawdy. So there's a Japanese poetry form called the Sudoka, not to be confused with Sudoku, and it's a 2-part poem where one poet actually, because a lot of Japanese poems are collaborative, they don't have the American ego. They're all about 1 + 1 = 3, they think, which comes out really good when we do collaborative poems. But they have one poet ask the question and the other one doesn't answer. So we came up with a form called the Seducto. And so we went with we started it with a come on, and I think my come on to the people was, do you work for the United Parcel Service? I have a big load for you. and they all replied to that, and it was a lot of fun. So, but one freaky thing about the Japanese poetry culture that I just find absolutely fascinating is they had this tradition called the Japanese death poem. Yeah. And that's exactly what it sounds like, is that these people would basically, they'd be spending years working on their last poem, and Japanese poetry is usually like, 3, 4, 5 lines, it's really short, so they'd be spending all this time refining this thing, and then one day they'd announce, okay, I'm dying next Wednesday, so gather everybody around, we'll have a tea ceremony, I'll read my poem, and then I'm going to croak. And the freaky part is they would do exactly that. Like there's a lot of records. We have most records from monks and monasteries because they had the following, but they would like I don't really know if it's like they were really good at predicting or like they just had such a psychological power from their last poem that they just like willed themselves to die at that moment that they really did. We have some records of some of those poems. So this one is by a man named Rankai Doryu who died in 1278. We don't know the month. This is a translation, obviously. 30 years and more I worked to nullify myself. Now I leap the leap of death. The ground churns up. The skies spin around. Wow. And I'll read one more from them because these are short, so you can do that. Yakuo Tokuken, who died May 5th, 1320. We actually have some exact sometimes, but not always. Records. My 6 and 70 years are through. I was not born, I am not dead. Clouds floating on the high, wide skies. The moon curves through its million-mile course. And we got some serious ones, but sometimes they would make a fart joke as their last poem, I kid you not. So look into that. Well, thank you. That's all I have.